It happened a few weeks ago, earlier this month, here at our cottage. Just a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cosy night.
A few minutes ago, the palace released shocking and heartbreaking news about Meghan's future, leaving everyone in stunned silence. For years, people have speculated about what truly happens behind the royal doors, and today the truth finally emerged far worse than anyone had imagined. The announcement directly affects Meghan's life and everything around her, leaving Harry disoriented and their fight for freedom seemingly out of reach. Something serious has occurred, one that will shape her path in a painful new way. The statement that changed everything arrived like any other winter day at Buckingham Palace. Staff moved through the marble hallways, everything appearing perfectly normal, until a single message was sent that would shake the world. At exactly 10:30, the palace released a statement. 3 brief, cold paragraphs on official paper, devoid of explanation, context, or warmth, simply announcing that a painful decision had been made regarding Meghan's future. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Major news channels interrupted their programming, reporters scrambled to interpret the announcement, and questions swirled what decision. What had happened? Why now? Yet the palace remained silent, issuing no follow-up statements and refusing to comment. Outside the gates, crowds gathered, phones raised to refresh news sites, journalists pushing forward with cameras rolling, desperate to capture every moment of the unfolding chaos. Meanwhile, across the ocean in California, Meghan was in her kitchen when Meghan's phone started buzzing, first a single notification, then 10, then hundreds. She picked it up with wet hands, still clutching a dish towel, and her face went pale as the headline flashed across the screen. The words made no sense. She read them once, twice, 3 times, each reading leaving her more confused and anxious. A painful decision had been made about her future. What future? What decision? Nobody had told her anything, called her, or warned her that something like this was coming. Desperately, she tried calling contacts at the palace. First, the communications office, no answer. Another number, voicemail. A third, someone she thought she could trust. The call rang endlessly before cutting off. Her heart pounded as the silence from London felt deliberate, calculated, and cold, as if invisible walls had sprung up between her and everyone she had known inside those palace walls. Sitting at her kitchen table, phone in hand, she watched news alerts pour in and headlines grow more dramatic by the minute. Speculation ran rampant. Reporters offered theories, some cruel, some ridiculous, none factual. She opened her laptop and found the official palace statement, its formal typeface against a plain background. Reading slowly, she noted the deliberately vague language, phrases like, "after careful consideration, and in the best interest of all parties." But what did it actually mean? Television commentators debated endlessly. Some claimed it concerned her role in the family, others her children, others money or titles. Hands trembling, she poured a glass of water she couldn't drink, her mind racing through possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. Trying one last number, someone finally answered, but their voice was brief, uncomfortable. "I'm sorry. I can't talk about this right now," they said before hanging up. The rejection stung. People she had trusted now treated her like a stranger. Hours passed as she reread the statement, eyes catching on the final line, something strangely personal, almost a hidden message meant only for her. And then it hit her, they hadn't just made an announcement about her future, they had decided her life without asking, telling, or giving her a chance to respond. Ignoring the relentless buzzing of reporters, she sat frozen, tracing back through recent weeks for missed clues. 3 weeks ago, an email to Palace Communications went unanswered. 2 weeks ago, a video call with a charity coordinator was cancelled without explanation. 10 days ago, a cryptic text warned, "Be careful." Now, all these small moments connected like pieces of a puzzle, forming a disturbing picture. People had been pulling away, doors quietly closing, and she had only just realized she was being locked out. Opening a new browser window, she wished she hadn't. Hundreds of headlines flooded the screen, every major news outlet covering the story, all asking the same questions. Questions swirled endlessly in Meghan's mind. The headlines repeated themselves in different ways. What decision had the palace made? What was happening to her? Why now? Some articles were sympathetic, others harsh, a few outright cruel, yet all shared the same truth. Nobody actually knew what was going on. Everyone was guessing, and those guesses grew more dramatic by the hour. She scrolled through article after article, each one heightening her anxiety. Commentators dissected every word of the palace statement. Royal experts offered theories based on unnamed sources, and former palace staff gave interviews filled with speculation and old gossip. Worst of all, her face was everywhere, repeated across every website. Photos from happy moments now felt like evidence in a trial she didn't even know existed. Images from charity events, with her children, smiling at official functions, all scrutinized by millions of strangers. Meghan closed her laptop, pressing her palms to her eyes. Harry was away on a short conservation trip, having left just yesterday morning. She wanted to call him, but feared disturbing his time away until she understood what was happening. Alone in the quiet, overly large California house, every sound startled her. Every phone notification made her heart race. After pacing for an hour, she made a decision. Scrolling through her contacts, she found someone who had always been kind during her time in London. Someone who understood the palace, yet maintained their integrity. Someone she hoped she could still trust. Her finger hovered over the call button before finally pressing it. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, and then someone answered. Meghan. Relief surged through her. She poured out her questions. The statement, the decision, why no one had warned her. A long pause followed. The insider's voice, quiet and strained, finally said, "The situation is worse than what the public thinks." The words hit her like ice water. She pressed for details, but the insider refused. "I can't. Not over the phone. Not right now. I shouldn't even be talking to you." Meghan demanded to know when she could learn more, but the response was equally agonizing. "I'm sorry. Truly. But there are things happening that are beyond my control, beyond anyone's control now." The line went dead as papers rustled in the background. Meghan stared at her phone, the words echoing in her mind, worse than what the public thinks. How could anything be worse? The public was already imagining every terrible possibility. Meghan tried calling back. Immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. She sent texts, but there was no response. Another door had closed. As evening deepened into night, she compulsively refreshed news sites, desperate for any clue. Then she saw it. A new headline from a reputable royal reporter. According to a source, a closed-door meeting had been held the previous night. Senior royals had gathered privately, and the subject had been Meghan herself. She read the article 3 times, her hands shaking more with each passer meeting about her without her. Decisions about her life made while she slept peacefully an ocean away, completely unaware that everything was about to change. Nobody had thought to tell her until it was already done. Meanwhile, 24 hours before the world erupted with questions, a different storm had been brewing inside Buckingham Palace. Late in the evening, when most staff had gone home, lights blazed behind heavy curtains in a private room on the 2nd floor. Senior members of the royal family had gathered for a meeting nobody wanted, but everyone knew was necessary. They arrived separately, avoiding being seen together, and no photographers or reporters captured the moment. This meeting would leave no official record, yet its impact would be profound. The atmosphere was heavy with tension. Some faces showed anger, others exhaustion, a few genuine fear. They all understood that the night's discussion would change everything. Meghan, her public role, her legal status, her future relationship with the crown. Questions that had been whispered about for months now demanded answers. One voice spoke first, sharp and impatient. The monarchy's image had suffered too much damage. Decisions had to be made. Another voice countered, quieter but firm. Rushing would worsen the situation, and the world was watching. A third voice cut in, frustration clear. Calculated moves were what had led them into this mess. Years of careful statements and diplomatic silence had solved nothing, and the problems had only grown. Arguments rose like waves in the elegant room, old grievances resurfacing, past decisions questioned, blame passed around like an unwanted dish. Some demanded immediate action, others counseled patience, but the only thing everyone agreed on was their exhaustion with endless discussion. The same issues circled the room again and again. Someone mentioned Harry. What would he say? What would he do? How would he react? The answer was cold and simple. Harry had made his choices, and now the family had to make theirs. Another voice brought up the children. How would this affect their relationship with the family, their titles, their place in the line of succession? The room fell silent for a moment. Children complicated everything. Yet someone quickly argued that protecting the institution had to come first. Individual feelings, however important, could not outweigh the survival of the monarchy itself. The debate raged for over an hour, voices rising, chairs scraping against the floor as people stood to make their points more forcefully. Tea grew cold in delicate cups. The clock on the mantel ticked steadily, marking time no one wanted to waste, but could not seem to save. Finally, one person had enough. Standing with absolute authority, they declared that a final decision needed to be made tonight, not next week, not next month, tonight. The public statement was drafted and ready. It only needed approval and a signature. Several protested, saying it was too fast, too sudden, too drastic. Others insisted that delay would only prolong the inevitable. The decision, they argued, had effectively been made weeks ago through a series of smaller choices behind closed doors. Tonight was simply about making it official. A secretary, who had been quietly sitting in the corner, approached the table holding a leather folder, placing it carefully in the center where all could see. The folder was opened to reveal a document with multiple pages, dense legal language, official seals, and letterheads. At the top of the first page was a single, formal name, Meghan. The room fell utterly silent. Everyone stared at those 6 letters. Some looked relieved, others troubled. A few refused to look at all. The document outlined everything. Her role going forward, her titles, her rights, her limitations, her relationship with the family, her access to privileges and protections. Every detail had been carefully decided and written in legal terms. One person asked if Meghan had been informed or given a chance to respond. The answer was uncomfortable but clear: no. The decision was being made for her, not with her. Informing her beforehand would have complicated everything. She would learn of it along with the world through the public statement scheduled for tomorrow morning. Objections were raised. This wasn't fair. She deserved a voice in decisions about her own life, but they were overruled. The statement was ready. All that remained was the signature. A pen was produced and passed around the table. People held their breath, some looking away, others fixed in attention. The moment felt surreal, like time had slowed. A hand reached forward, fingers wrapped around the pen, the tip touched paper, and with a few quick strokes it was done. The signature dried on the page, making the decision official. The decision about Meghan's future was now official, real, and binding. Tomorrow, everything would change. Harry's flight landed in California, just as the sun was setting. Tired but happy, he looked forward to seeing Meghan and sharing the good news from his conservation trip. As his car approached the house, he noticed all the lights were on, unusual for this hour. Inside, the house felt off, too quiet, too tense. Dropping his bag, he called out her name, but there was no response. Moving further inside, he found Meghan sitting at the kitchen table in the dark, the only light coming from her laptop screen. Her face was pale, her eyes red, and she looked as though she hadn't slept in days, though he had only been gone 36 hours. Harry rushed to her side, kneeling beside her, taking her ice-cold, trembling hands in his own. He asked what was wrong, but Meghan could not speak, shaking her head before turning the laptop toward him. Harry read the palace statement once, his expression shifting from confusion to shock to anger in seconds. Reading it again slowly, he tried to process the cold, formal words. A painful decision about Meghan's future, with no explanation, no context, everything and nothing at the same time. He jumped to his feet, the chair scraping loudly against the floor, phone in hand, calling number after number. First his father voicemail, then his brother no answer. 2 other family members nothing. It seemed as though everyone had decided not to answer at the same time. Harry's jaw clenched tighter with each failed call as he paced, fingers jabbed at his screen, desperate for answers. Meghan watched silently, arms wrapped around herself, trying to hold together. Finally, someone picked up. Harry stopped pacing, pressed the phone to his ear, and walked into another room, his voice rising with urgent questions. What was happening? Why hadn't anyone informed him? What decision had been made? The conversation was brief, and when he returned to the kitchen, his expression had shifted. The anger remained, but it was now tempered by something heavier: defeat, maybe, or fear. Meghan's voice came out barely above a whisper. What did they say? Harry sat down heavily in the chair across from Meghan. It's already done, he said, the words hanging in the air like poison. Meghan stared at him, trying to comprehend. What's done? What does that mean? Harry shook his head slowly. I don't know. They wouldn't tell me. They just kept saying it's done. And there's nothing anyone can do to change it now. Meghan felt her chest tighten. She had spent the entire day drowning in confusion and fear. And now, with Harry home, the answers still weren't coming. If his own family wouldn't tell him what was happening, the situation was even worse than she had imagined. Harry reached across the table and took her hand. We'll figure this out. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together. But his words felt hollow. How could they handle something when they didn't even know what it was? They were fighting shadows, wrestling ghosts, defending themselves against an invisible attack. Meghan pulled her hand back and wrapped her arms around herself. They're going to release a full statement soon, she said, the news sites all reporting the same. Harry nodded grimly. Then we wait. But waiting felt impossible. Every minute stretched out like an hour. Darkness fell outside as they sat in the kitchen, unable to eat, unable to focus, consumed by anticipation. Meghan's thoughts circled back to her greatest fear, the children. Harry, what if this affects the children? She whispered. He looked at her, and she could see he had been thinking the same thing. Whatever the palace had decided about her would inevitably touch their children, their titles, their security, their relationship with Harry's family, their place in a world that had never fully accepted them. We'll protect them, Harry said firmly. No matter what happens, we protect them first. Meghan wanted to believe him, but protection required knowing what they were protecting against. They were defenseless against an invisible threat. Suddenly, Harry's phone buzzed, making them both jump. He grabbed it, read the screen, and his face went pale. What is it? Meghan asked, heart racing. Harry turned the phone toward her. A journalist he trusted, with sources deep inside the palace, had sent a short but devastating message. A leak claimed that the palace's decision involved stripping Meghan of something precious. The journalist didn't have confirmation of the details, but insiders were using the word precious. Meghan read the message twice, hands trembling so badly she almost dropped the phone. What could the palace take from her that required an official announcement and a closed-door meeting? Somewhere in London, palace officials were putting the final touches on a statement that would change everything, and there was nothing Harry or Meghan could do to stop it. When the truth began to leak, the news hit the internet at 3 a.m. London time, 10 p.m. California time. Harry and Meghan, still awake, watched in frozen disbelief. When a major newspaper obtained part of the sealed decision enough to confirm its reality, Harry's body went rigid, realizing just how far the palace was willing to go. Harry read it first, his face drained of color. Meghan watched him from across the room, heart pounding as if it might burst from her chest. She didn't need to ask if it was bad. His expression said it all. Without a word, he handed her the phone. Meghan's eyes scanned the text, and the words hit her like blows. Royal privileges, protections, permanently removed. Effective immediately, no appeal process. The decision was final and binding. She read it again, slower, hoping she had misunderstood, but the words remained unchanged. The palace had decided to strip away everything that had once been hers by marriage, things that had made her feel safe, things that had connected her to a family she had tried so hard to be part of. The phone slipped from her hands and clattered onto the table. Meghan froze, then her legs gave out. She sank to the floor, back against the wall, and the tears she had held back all day finally broke free. Harry was beside her instantly, pulling her close, but all she felt was the crushing weight of rejection, of being officially, legally, permanently pushed out. I never imagined they would actually do this, she whispered between sobs. I knew things were bad, but I never thought they would go this far. Harry held her tighter, anger building like a storm. His own family, the people who had raised him, who had welcomed Meghan with polite smiles on her wedding day, had sat in a room and decided to cut her off completely. This wasn't a simple disagreement anymore. It was deliberate, calculated, a message that his wife was no longer one of them. Outside, the world erupted. The leaked information spread like wildfire, and within minutes, millions were reading the same devastating words. Reactions came fast and furious. Some were outraged at the palace, angry and sympathetic toward Meghan. Others sided with the monarchy, insisting the decision was justified, pointing to her criticisms and choices. Social media became a battlefield. News channels aired experts debating opposite sides, and everyone had an opinion, yet no one seemed to notice the real person breaking down in her kitchen. Meghan pulled away from Harry, wiped her eyes, and slowly stood, walking toward Meghan stood at the window, looking out over quiet, snow-filled streets and twinkling Christmas lights, the stars overhead untouched by the turmoil inside her home. This is the moment I feared, she whispered, her voice hollow. Since leaving the UK, she had been bracing for something like this, hoping she was wrong, but she wasn't. Harry came to stand beside her, searching for words that could make the impossible feel bearable, but there were none. His phone buzzed again, and he read the message with blood running cold. A second leak, smaller but potentially even more devastating than the first. This time it wasn't about privileges or titles, it was about their children, innocent and undeserving, being drawn into a battle they hadn't asked for. Meghan's eyes filled with fear and fury. "What are they doing to our babies?" she asked. Harry had no answer, only the shared terror of two parents standing together in the dark, facing an unknown storm. Meanwhile, across the ocean, palace officials likely slept soundly, confident their decision would soon be made public, but the leaks had already shifted the balance. Meghan's hands shook as she read the words again. Restrictions on the children, limits on their titles, questions about their rights and recognition. She thought of every battle she had fought, every compromise she had made, every moment of silent endurance, only to realize distance had changed nothing. The palace's reach spanned oceans, and her children's futures could be decided without her consent. Harry paced, phone pressed to his ear, trying in vain to reach anyone who could give answers, only to find doors closed at every turn. Finally, he stopped resolute. "I'm going to London right now," he declared. Meghan's heart seized. Part of her wanted him to confront the palace, part feared the cost. "You have to find out the truth," she urged, voice breaking. Harry grabbed his passport, moving with urgent purpose. Meghan followed him, silent, watching him prepare to face the unknown alone. "Promise me you'll come back with the truth," she whispered. "All of it." Harry stopped, pulled her close, and promised, "Whatever they've done, whatever they've decided, we'll face it together. But first, I need to know exactly what we're facing." Within hours, he was en route to the airport, the California sunshine feeling incongruously bright as Meghan watched him leave. She checked on their sleeping children, tears silently falling as she realized how powerless they were. Hours later, a message came from Harry's number, a warning. "Prepare for the truth." Meghan's blood ran cold. Whoever sent it had vanished, leaving her alone with her fear, the night pressing in. Somewhere out there, the truth awaited. Harry's plane landed in London as grey morning light spread across the city. Sleep had eluded him, and the warning haunted every thought. A car waited at the airport, driver silent, door opened without greeting. The ride to the palace felt like moving through a foreign land. Streets once familiar seemed cold and unwelcoming, and as the gates came into view, Harry felt the weight of the storm that awaited him behind those doors that he had grown up here. These walls had once been home, but now they felt like a prison he was willingly entering. Harry walked through the side entrance, avoiding the public eye. Staff members passed silently, faces averted, hurried footsteps signaling the deliberate distance. A private secretary met him at the door, no greetings, just a nod and a gesture inside. 3 senior royals sat waiting. The air was cold and heavy. No one stood. No tea was offered. This wasn't a family meeting. Harry didn't bother with pleasantries. "I want to see the document. The actual decision. Not leaks. Not rumors. Silence." Glances passed across the room. Finally, a leather folder was slid toward him. Trembling, he opened it. The first page outlined Meghan's future, or her lack of one. Every royal tie severed, every privilege and protection withdrawn. The language was precise and unfeeling. Then he reached the 3rd page. His children. Limitations on their titles, questions of succession, restrictions on recognition and family participation. Harry read it 3 times. Unmistakable. His children, pushed to the edges, made less important, less protected. "How could you do this?" "These are children, my children. Your blood," he demanded. One voice replied coldly, "Necessary for the crown's survival." Harry slammed his chair back. "The institution? Real children, real lives, and you treat them like problems to manage?" No answer. They sat motionless, trained to hide everything. He threw the document down. "This is unforgivable." He walked out. Behind him, they remained seated, satisfied. The flight home was a blur. He couldn't eat, couldn't think, couldn't imagine telling Meghan. Worse than any leak, more comprehensive, more permanent. Landing in California late at night, the drive home stretched endlessly. Inside, Meghan sat waiting. Time had lost meaning. Her eyes told him she knew it was bad, worse than bad. He sat beside her, took her hands, and carefully explained everything. Meghan's severed ties, the restrictions on her relationships, the heartbreaking limitations on their children. Meghan listened in silence, no tears, no outbursts, only stillness. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, steady, eerily peaceful. "So that's it. They've made their choice. Shown us who we are to them." Harry nodded. "Then we make our own future. With or without them. We build something new, something that protects our children, instead of using them." He stood beside her. "Are you sure?" Her eyes were clear, determined. "I've never been more sure." They wanted to push me away, make me nothing. Fine. I never needed them in the first place. She walked to the back door, stepping into the cool night air, face lifted to the stars. The palace had made their decision. Signed, sealed, final. But so was her resolve. Under the vast California sky, Meghan began imagining what came next.